Okay, hello everyone. Thank you so much for coming to today's stream. I know today is a little bit of a impromptu, sudden stream, so I hope you don't mind. But if you can't make it today, that's okay. I just figured it was kind of funny because I thought today was Saturday, which is when I usually do streams. But then I realized I was like, oh wait, today is Friday, but I had already set everything up. So I was just like, maybe it's like Kami-sama, like guiding me to do it today. I don't know. I kind of felt that maybe it would be better to do it today. So then tomorrow, when the monthly ceremony, we do the monthly ceremony in the morning, and then later on, Masafumi Sensei has his live stream. And so I figured then I can just focus on the monthly ceremony after. So I won't be like rushing between like Masafumi Sensei's live stream and then rushing between the monthly ceremonies. I figured it'd be easier. And hello, Rai. Thank you so much for coming today. I think the lighting's a little bit weird, but it's okay. I feel like it's so bright today, but I don't know. But yeah, hi Nezusan, thank you so much for coming. But yeah, so tomorrow's monthly ceremony. It's kind of rare, but today, we kind of prepared a little bit earlier, so like you can see the koto that is used in the ceremony. We kind of like set up the night before a lot of things, so then tomorrow morning it's not like rushing around so much. So yeah. But anyways, so for today's ceremony, oh hi Seth, thank you so much for coming. Not today's ceremony, today's live stream. I mean, I'm kind of like a little bit. I don't want to say overworked because I don't think I'm like overworked that much, but I think there's just like too much going on that I'm kind of like frazzled because there's so many things to think about and like get ready for. And it's like I'm just all over the place. Hello, happy Friday. Yes. Hopefully everyone has a good weekend too. But yeah, this past month and then week there's just so much going on. But it's good. Like it's good to be busy and it's good to have things going on and it's good to be like, active. So that's good. But it's just a lot to think about and a lot of like stuff going on. But yeah, so I'm trying to like catch up with everyone too. Like there's a lot of messages I have to reply and like I didn't actually check everything yet. So I'm like I have to go through that as well. But anyways, for today's stream, I wanted to share a few topics, I guess. So the first topic I wanted to talk about today is kind of like it's kind of a heavy topic, but I think it's good. It's kind of like if you've ever done something you regret, or if you've ever done something that you feel was like bad to another person, or you think about something you've done in the past and you really regret it and you wish you hadn't done something like that. How do you like manage that together with Kami-sama is kind of what I wanted to talk about today. So and it's not me. I don't want to say like, oh, just like, because a lot of people say to get over or like process something that you've done. Like the best thing to do is just kind of like accept what you've done and like move forward from that, But I know personally like that's not easy. And it's not that simple as just like psychologically kind of telling yourself or like working through the feelings. Like it can help. I'm not saying it doesn't help, but I know that it's like really, really difficult as well. So like normally that when we do something we regret, or we've done something wrong or something that we're not proud of, the next response is there's either basically kind of two options. The first option is either you don't feel guilty about it, which it depends on the situation, but that can happen. But usually most people feel some sort of guilt and some sense of regret and guilt and sadness about what happened. And in that case, some people let the guilt and sadness like fall on top of them and like eat at them, and like it's a burden that they carry for a long time. And in some ways, like a lot of people feel like if they carry the guilt and if they carry the bad feelings, then that kind of like is making up for what happened, or like repenting in a way, because it's like if I make myself suffer, or like if I don't allow myself to be happy for what I've done, then I'm like bringing justice, or like I'm making things better. Like it's easy to fall into that topic of like, thinking that if you punish yourself, it's gonna like be just justice to the thing you regret or the thing you wish you didn't do. And I know that feeling very well, and I don't like judge anyone for feeling it. But I also understand how that's kind of like a fallacy, right? Because it's like, even if you go through life kind of like punishing yourself or looking at yourself in a bad way, if you don't actually try to change yourself or make sure you don't repeat the same things, and you just kind of stay in the mindset of feeling bad with what you did, um, I understand like it comes from a good place, but like the emotion I understand, but the action should change as well, because what's more powerful is to actually try to change your action to work towards being distancing yourself from the person that you were that did the action you regret, rather than staying in like a stasis, like staying in a like a cage you made for yourself. It's better to acknowledge that you were that person and then work towards changing, and then you move away from that person you were. But that's not easy. Like I understand that's not easy. It takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. And to get there, it starts with like accepting what you did. But it's not like to say that like I did that and like it's okay. Like it's not saying that you necessarily have to forgive yourself. Like I know some people say like you have to forgive yourself, but I know personally like sometimes it's extremely difficult, if not impossible, to like genuinely forgive yourself. Even if it's something and someone from the outside will say like it wasn't that bad, or like even if the person themselves forgives you, it's hard for that forgiveness to come from within as well. Like even if even if like the whole world says like you're forgiven, sometimes that forgiveness to yourself is almost like impossible to come from. So I know that people say like it's important to forgive yourself, but I also know that, and that is something important to try, but I also know like realistically, like um I also know realistically that it's very difficult to actually genuinely do that from deep down. So like what I would do instead is not focus on being forgiven or not forgiven, but just accepting that I did that thing that I did and I regret it and I never want to repeat it. So I will change and be a different person than the person who did this thing that I regret. So for me, I don't like if I focus on like forgiveness or not forgiveness, like I'll just end up in a spiral. Like I'll just like keep telling myself that I don't deserve to be forgiven, and like people who might forgive me are like it doesn't change anything, right? And I just end up in a big spiral. So for some people it might help. Like I'm not saying it doesn't help, and like if it does help, then please like do what helps best. But for those who can't find that forgiveness for themselves, I recommend like just not focusing on forgiveness or not forgiveness, but just accepting what you've done as reality. Like I've actually done this thing and I can't take it back. It is what it is. And then moving forward to change again. Like I repeat it, but it's important to like make sure that this is like known. And then like and then as you're changing yourself, like through working and changing yourself to distance yourself from that person who did the wrong thing. What has helped me a lot is doing that like under the guidance and asking for help from kami-sama. So like, like you can have, at least for me, like I can have an idea of what might be good to do and good to change to rectify mistakes I've done and regrets I have. But sometimes, like, again, because you know that you were the person who did those things, it can be hard to trust yourself that you can actually do the right thing or actually do something different. Like, you're scared that you might fall into the same pattern over and over again. And it can actually happen, like, in and of itself. Like, there's been plenty of times where I say, like, I want to change myself from like how I was, and then I just end up repeating the same pattern. And that's not good, right? And I can't just keep repeating the same pattern, keep apologizing and keep regretting, and then it just like never ends, right? So it's important to understand to yourself as well, like, you might repeat the same pattern that you've done, but like, you can't give up. Like, you can't just like say like, oh, it's okay. Like, you can't just like, you know, like say like, oh, it's inevitable. Like, don't tell yourself that. Like, you have to be focused that you can actually break from the person that you were, and it's like an obligation in a way, or like a responsibility to try to do that. It's like a very serious thing. And for me, like, I ask and pray to Kami-sama, like, Kami-sama, how do I, like, what is the best way that I can change and like do something different? And like, of course, like, like, it's not like Kami-sama like tells me directly and there's like a list of things I have to do. It's not like that. It's more like I feel like situations come up where I'm gonna be put in the same like situation that I might repeat the same mistake. Um, but like, in that moment, because I prayed about it, I know that like I'm being given a chance, or like being put in a situation where I can actually choose something different on how to handle things. So then I realized, like, okay, this is like, I prayed about it and now this is happening. So I'm like prepared to handle it a different way that I wanted to handle it. So like, for example, like, one of my biggest like regrets, like, that's like not too deep or anything, is like, I regretted in the past that I was too much of like I was too much of a people pleaser. I was too like soft with people. Like, I was so like overly nice. And some people say, oh no, that's a good thing. Like, why are you saying that's a bad thing? But like, trust me, it was a really bad thing, because being that way was enabling people to like hurt others and take advantage of others and like manipulate others. And like, I was kind of like, you could say like, oh, I was like a victim too, because I was like also not being treated well. But that doesn't change the fact that if I had been a stronger person, like, a lot of pain could have been avoided if I had just set boundaries with certain people and like told them no, and like, like, took action against like the manipulation and like, the mistreatment and etc. So I regret that. Like, I regret that deeply, that I didn't do something more and I wasn't more assertive and I wasn't more setting the boundary. And so like, there's been situations, and when I prayed about it to Kami-sama, where it's like I'm being put in a situation where someone is taking advantage of another person's kindness or the group or something, like, they're not taking no for an answer. They're just like keep pushing, and they like make all these like excuses and like stories like, oh well, like, yeah, but I don't have anything, and like, etc etc. And it's like, you do feel like sorry, and even if their story is fake, like, you feel sorry because they're like in this mindset that they feel like they have to be this way in order to get what they want, and that's kind of sad. But anyway, like, it doesn't matter, because like, you still have to set boundaries with people and not enable them um to like keep doing their own bad patterns too. So I learned, like, when I'm put in those situations, like, I stop enabling people and I just tell them no, like, you can't do this thing and you can't think of it this way. And it's like, I try not to be too strict, because I know that can like swing the other way. Like, it's kind of a balance. But when it really comes down to it, like, it comes like, I can have some leeway, like, I can have some wiggle room. But when they kind of touch on the boundary, that's when I'm like, okay, no, like we have to stop right here. And I'm not gonna like let you continue this and like push more where you're gonna like start hurting people and start like, you know, ruining things for others and like making it difficult for others. So it's like it's really hard. And I've struggled with this a long, long time. Like since like I don't know, a long time ago. But like about in regards to like enabling people versus like actually being kind to them. Because what I didn't understand was that I thought that just accepting everything was being nice. Like I thought that was like a nice thing to do. But then I realized that it wasn't a nice thing to do because I was just enabling their bad patterns and their bad behavior. And it was hurting others, but it was also hurting them because now like they're causing animosity between themselves and other people. And now they're like spiraling into like bad behaviors, like toxic behaviors, and like nobody's stopping them, like or putting them in check, like, hey, like this is not okay, you know. So I thought it was being nice, but it was actually making everything worse. So when I thought about it like that, I realized like something, like the kindest thing you can do for someone is actually like set those boundaries with them and tell them no, like no more, like we cannot keep doing this. And then they might like, you know, like throw a tantrum or get angry or like etc. But I feel like even if that happens, um, they will start to realize the consequences of those actions. So even if they don't like understand fully like why you're saying no, they can understand that acting that way, that action has a consequence. And that action means that this boundary will happen and this like wall will happen and they can't continue. So they start to realize like I cannot continue this behavior, like I have to change something as well. And it might not always be from like the best place. It might be kind of like manipulative too, but that's also the responsibility then, like to see that it's not really genuine. And like it's just like, you know, they just change to try to get, you know, connected. And it's like, no, you still have to put the boundary. So it's kind of like that. Well, let me see the comments. Sorry. Okay. Oh, hello everyone, and thank you so much, Terrence, for joining as well. Oh yeah, I'm glad it loaded. Yes. Mike says, "I know that feeling." Oh, hello Cassidy. Yeah, I have a feeling I was supposed to hear this message. Oh no. Yes. It's something that it happens to a lot of people to deal with. Michael says, "I personally don't regret the time I was being used for my kindness and softness. I remember the time as an experience and to know which behavior to avoid. Acceptance is a better teacher than regret. When you set boundaries, you realize how healthy it is." Oh, yes, yes, exactly, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, it's interesting because, like, for me, like, I regret it because it led to a lot of people being hurt. Like before, because I had been like too nice and everything, and it led to some issues. But like, I was like, well, you know, like, I'm just coming from a good place. Like, I'm just trying to be a good person, you know. But then I really realized, like, at least for the situation I was put in, um, you know, it moves from when you're like in a position of like responsibility, or if you're just like with friends or like coworkers or something, things change, you know, like dynamics change. And I couldn't understand that at the time. And that's why like I regret it, because then a lot of people got hurt because me, who was in the position of responsibility, didn't uphold that responsibility. So that's why like I feel bad. But now I don't like, again, like I said earlier in the stream, like I'm not like constantly beating myself up over it or like thinking about forgiveness or not forgiveness. Like I'm just accepting that happened. And then now I'm moving forward and like changing how I act and how I talk to make it, to distance myself from that person who acted that way. And now Olivia in the present, you know. So it's kind of like that. But yes, yeah, boundaries are really important. And thank you for the hug. Thank you. Mm. Oh yes. So it's something you have to learn when there are dicks around you. addicts around you. You may love them very much, but you're not helping them by letting them hurt you over and over. You're enabling their behavior. It's a really painful lesson to learn, to be able to be loving and gentle, but still know when to put your foot down. But I think it's a very valuable one. Yes, exactly. Oh, and thank you, Ray. Hugs. Thank you so much. But no, exactly. I hadn't been around anyone who had an addiction as much in my lifetime, but I was in it was like a similar situation. Oh, thank you for the hugs. It was a similar situation where like a friend I had was in an abusive relationship with someone, and you can't just tell them like break up with them. Like it's not that easy, you know. But in that case, like the important thing was just like being there for my friend and like knowing that they didn't have to rely on their abusive partner. They had like us, like all of their friends, like we were supporting them and we weren't gonna like abandon them. But we also weren't gonna enable the abuser. So like for example, like if our friend was like, "Hey, can like my partner come to this event with us?" And I'd be like, he'd be like, um, I, like it was very difficult. Like we wanted to say no, and we didn't want them to come, but we knew it was like complicated. So we had to like set boundaries and like this complicated situation. Like, okay, like he can come for a bit, but then like at the actual gathering, like some people would like kind of forcibly set a boundary by like just bringing him away from her, and like it was a whole thing. Anyway, it was like really really complicated, and it wasn't simple at all to like be able to set the boundary and like also still show our friend like we care about them and we support them, because if we just said no to her, then she'd cling to her abuser more. So we had to like find a way to like make it so she wouldn't feel unwelcomed or like isolated, but also setting a boundary between her and the abusive partner. And postscript, like PS, like this situation happened many many years ago, like when I was a teenager, and so now my friend is okay. So like don't worry, she's like escaped from that situation. But it was really complicated and really difficult. But it was like something I remember because of how complicated it was, and like trying to choose between kindness and like showing like you care about the person, but also trying to like set a boundary to avoid to avoid her being isolated, or rather like a situation happening. So there's things like that. And like you said, it's the same with people who are addicted, who have an addiction. Like, if you just say like, oh, it's okay, what you're doing is okay, like it's not actually helping them, because it's not actually okay. But you do love them and you do care about them, but that's exactly why like you don't want to enable their behavior or like keep perpetuating the harm they're doing to themselves. So like those situations like addiction and abuse, like they're so complicated to balance. Like you care about the person, you love them so much, you want them to be better, but also trying to get them away from the harmful thing. But the natural response where you just want to be like, stop doing that, that's not going to work. So you have to find a way to show them that they don't have to turn to like an abusive partner, they don't have to turn to the addiction. Like they have people who care about them and love them and who are going to be there for them, so they don't have to rely on either like an abusive person or the addiction. And that can be like drugs, alcohol, even like internet addiction, any kind of addiction. It's the same thing. I mean, not all the same thing, but like the core of it, where the person has a problem they can't stop, is a really big, like the big issue. But of course, some are more severe than others. Like an addiction with drugs is like way more serious because of the medical implications. Than like, for example, like if someone is addicted to their phone or something, like they might not get enough sleep or get enough social interaction or not eating well enough. But like you can kind of manage it as like a little bit easier, but other addictions are way harder. So it's like it's hard. Yeah, I just hope that people will be okay. you know Oh, sorry, let me see the comments. Terrence's son says, in the post office this morning, a man was troubling to the counter staff. In the end, I shouted at him and he tussled with me. Oh my god. And he spat at me, then left. The staff are appreciative. My anger was put to use. Oh my god. I'm glad you're okay. Like, I'm glad it was like nothing crazy, like too crazy, you know? Like, he just got angry but like, I hope you're not hurt or anything. And I'm glad that you like set the boundary with him, like, hey, like, stop doing that, and protecting the staff and everything. That's good. Yeah, I don't know why some people like just kind of lose their cool in public. I see that happen a lot, even in Japan. Like, people think Japan is more calm, and it mostly is compared to Toronto, at least. But there's still people who are like, they just like explode in public, and then it's a whole situation, and then everyone has to deal with it. So it's good to put a stop to it and not just be like a bystander and not helping. So yeah, but I'm sorry, like, you got into a fight. Like, that's so. I'm glad you're okay though. Like, I hope you weren't hurt at all. So thank you. It's yes. So anxious artist says, watching someone get abused who doesn't hear you when you try to warn them is the worst. Yes. I'm glad your friend got out of that relationship. I'm sure you and her other friends, thoughtfulness, contribute a lot to that. Thank you so much. Yes, it's really, really horrible. Like, like, you want to do so much. You want to just tell them, like, just break up, and you want to like yell at the partner and like just like take them away and like don't hurt my friend. But it's complicated than that, and it's not easy. And the scariest thing is like retaliation, because the abusive partner can like retaliate, and there's a whole like situation about that. So yeah, like, it's important to think about things, like, think about the big picture and focus on your loved one and show them that they're not alone. And you don't want to enable them, but you also want to show them that they don't have to rely on these bad things, the bad person or substance or something else. But yeah, like, when it comes to regret, and even if you're the person who was in an abusive relationship or was having the addiction, there can come feelings of regret and sadness and lamenting that you made these choices. I mean, I don't know if I call them like choices, like, they are technically, but also like, so like, here's another thing. Another thing is that, like, a lot of people say like there's things that we choose to do, and then we have to live with the consequences of that, and I understand that. But sometimes we're put into situations and we do make a choice, but that choice isn't really like the most free possible choice someone could choose, um because of circumstances beyond just this one specific situation. So like, I've seen some people say like, oh, like, well, like, alcoholics made the choice to start drinking, like that, blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, like, technically, I guess, but also like, we're missing a bigger picture, because it's like, why did they start? It's like, why did they keep going? It's like, there's obviously something more to this, as to why someone has made a decision to continue or do something, right? It's not always so simple, and it's not always so, like, we don't always know someone's story. Like, we don't know someone's background, we don't know their story, we don't know what happened, unless we actually ask them. And sometimes it's not so simple as, they just made a choice. Sometimes it's like they had option A and option B, and like B was worse, so they picked A. And it's like, yeah, they chose it, I guess, but it's like they're stuck in this situation, right? Like, there's so many other factors that we don't really like, a lot of people don't really see. And that also makes things more complicated, because it's like when you think of things that way, it's easier to judge someone, right? Because it's like, how could you choose this when it's easy to not choose it? But I feel like a lot of people miss the fact that it's not always, a real choice. People are often forced into choices that they have to choose between one or two, or very limited options, and they unfortunately fall into bad situations. Like, I've heard like I remember like with my friend who was in the abusive relationship, like there was not people in our friend group, but like outside, they were like, "Oh, but why did she choose to date him?" And like, why doesn't she just break up? And like, why does she, why? And it's like, okay, it's like, but you don't actually know like why. So like, don't speculate and like don't judge and like, because when you do that, it's like not helping anything, and it's just making, if she hears that, it's going to make her feel more isolated from people and more feel like she deserves it more, so it's like people are saying, oh, you chose this. So she's like, while she knows that she's being abused, she's like, well, I chose it, I deserve it, I'm just going to stay put because I don't deserve something better. I made a mistake, I chose this mistake. And you just trap the person in a spiral. So that's why it's really like like we have to be careful like how we think about things like this and have a little bit more empathy. um I say like we have to or we should, because if we do that, then people can be saved from suffering that way. Like if we have that empathy, if we have that trying to understand their situation more and like understand why this is happening on a big picture, it can help make things better, and that's exactly what happened. Like that's like approaching it that way with my friend is exactly why she was able to get out of that relationship, because we showed her that we're not judging her and we understand it's hard, and we don't approve of it. And I'm sure she knows that too, that of course we don't, because she's being hurt. It's not we don't approve of her choice, it's we don't approve of how she's being treated. And because we showed her that support, even though we didn't agree that it was okay, it eventually made her realize like she didn't have to stay with this guy because she had us. She had people who cared about her, friends and her family. She didn't have to stay with this guy who was hurting her. So like that goes a long way. So that's kind of like my experience with it. So yeah, we're almost always missing context from people's life choices. And once someone is in a hole, it often looks like they just keep digging, but they don't see it that way from inside the hole. Yes, exactly. Like they just like, it's very easy to like feel stuck, or like you deserve it, or like there's no way out, or like, you know, it's rather than like people on the outside see them as they keep digging. But what's really happening is they're sinking deeper into the hole, and there's like no one to help them pull them out because they think that they're digging it. So that's the scariest part. It's like really scary. And I understand too, like sometimes someone's addiction or being in an abusive relationship, like especially for children of parents who are in these situations, like it's not easy and it's not like as simple, especially because the parent has a responsibility to care for the child. So in those situations, I always say like it's not the child's responsibility to like take their parent out of that situation, because it's like a different dynamic. And it's just tragic all around. But it's not always like, I don't know how to explain that. Like it's not always as straightforward as it is even in those situations. And I'm sure it's even worse because like then the parent realizes at some point, like they realize that they're failing as a parent, and then it just keeps spiraling, getting worse and worse and worse. And not all the time, because some parents are just like abusive. But in a lot of cases of like addictions, and like maybe they're like the parent is like swinging back and forth, and they don't want to do this and they want to care, but then they're still stuck, and it's like it's very complicated, very messy, and it's like difficult as a child as well to help your parent because of the dynamic. Like the parent is above the child, and if the child is younger and they're a minor, it's like even more complicated because they can't do anything like legally, or like they can't leave. And it's just like, there's so many situations with each of their own individual complicated situations that like, that's why I say like, like judging something from the outside based on like assumptions or like ideas of what's happening is really foolish, because we don't actually know like everything. So unless we actually know everything and we actually deeply understand what's going on, um but then it's like a paradox, right? Because if you actually understand something that's happening, um, it's very rare that you're inclined to judge it, right? Because you can start to see how things have happened this way. But if you just have a surface understanding, it's easier to judge, on something. But some things do deserve like a judgment because you see and understand everything. And like, okay, wait, this is actually bad. But it's very rare too, right? And often not in these cases of like abuse or addiction and things like that. Like it's like more the fact that someone has been forced into a situation and there's so many other factors contributing to this situation, and even for me, like it's not as like scary or heavy, but what I mentioned earlier about like being too accommodating or too nice or too gentle with people, it's like where did that people pleaserness come from? And it's like that came from like my childhood where I had a lot of like had a lot of abuse happen to me, and my response was like fawning. Like I was fawning a lot to escape um worse situations. So whenever I felt there was like a conflict or something bad, my immediate response was to fawn, right? Like a fawn response. Like that means like trying to make everything nice and make everything good and like don't cause more conflict. So that's kind of where it comes from, but like at the same time, um so like maybe if someone knew me, like they could understand it and maybe they wouldn't judge me as much for like how I was acting, but it still doesn't make like how I was acting okay, So it's kind of like that, right? Like it doesn't make my response like okay or healthy or like good to do, right? It wasn't good to do, and it led to people getting hurt. It led to me getting more hurt, probably re-traumatized, like all this bad stuff, right? But that's why like accepting it wasn't the right thing to do, and accepting that I made that mistake, like even if it had a history as to why I did that, that's okay, that's understandable, but like even so, after everything, I still have to make that decision to change and evolve myself, even if it's hard, you know for the sake of myself and for the sake of everyone else around me, you know but like to get to that point is very, very difficult. But for me, I feel like it was a little bit easier because I had Kami-sama helping me. So for me, like praying to Kami-sama about it, like asking Kami-sama to help me get over this trauma and trauma response and way I was and all this stuff. I think it helped me a lot easier because I had Kami-sama's support. And like again, like I don't mean like I don't want to sound like, okay, I prayed to God and God like made everything better and I'm good. Like it wasn't like that. Um, it was more like like for me, it was not only being put into like being guided to new challenges where I could try to be a different person. Like I was given opportunities to be a different person, but also that when I pray, it's not just like, chanting a prayer or like reciting something. It's like actually talking to Kami-sama, like talking to them as if I would like right now, like on live stream to everyone, just normal conversation. And, I would just like vent to Kami-sama, like, tell them everything, like tell them how bad I felt and tell them like I didn't understand like why it was wrong and I wanted to understand why it was wrong, and just like telling them everything and telling them like what happened and just talking to them like this and doing that over time was also very helpful, because like of course I feel like Kami-sama was listening, but also it was kind of like processing out all of my feelings without fear of like another person's thoughts or judgments or misunderstandings, right? Because like when you talk to another person, there's always this fear that they might not understand you, or they might like have misconceptions, or they might like tell other people, or there's a whole bunch of factors when you're telling someone else, like another person. But I know that when I talk to Kami-sama, it's like they're not going to like judge like what I'm saying, or they won't misunderstand what I'm saying because they can like understand my nitama no kami, like my spirit, and they won't like. I don't think they're gonna gossip to other kami-samas about what's happening to me. And if they do, I guess that's okay because they're kami-samas, like they're not people, so maybe it's okay. Like I don't mind, but it was different because I knew that I could just say anything and then like it wasn't gonna like circulate or like be judged or misunderstood, and like so because of I knew that I could express myself more freely than I would that if I was talking to someone else. And I'm not saying like don't talk to other people, because talking to someone you trust can really help. But for me, like this situation was so embedded in my trauma and so like complicated and so difficult. I couldn't bring myself to tell everything to even my trusted friends. And it's not like I didn't want to. I really wanted to tell them, but it was just hard, like psychologically speaking. Like genuinely, like even if I tried, I think there was like a part of my subconscious that would have like held it back. So that's why like with coming someone like that barrier wasn't there. So it was much easier to be able to process those feelings. Oh, okay. So anxious says your response is wired into your brain. Oops, sorry. So you're allowed to forgive yourself for fawning. Oh, thank you. Yes. That doesn't mean it wasn't a good thing. It wasn't a good thing that you learned. Oh my god, sorry. The chat keeps jumping. Hold on, let me just restart the chat. Wait. Okay, so your fear response is wired into your brain, so you're allowed to forgive yourself for fawning. That doesn't mean it wasn't a good thing that you learned to protect yourself instead. Oh yes. They say that we're all wired to freeze, fight, flee, fawn with different priorities. I'm a freeze person. Oh no, yes, exactly. But yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, like I know it's like it's weird with trauma. Like there's like there's not really like a logic. Really, it's literally like a response, right? Like it's a mammal thing. It's like a monkey thing, like I know that human beings are like a primate animal. Like that's why we have like monkey ears. So I know that like we have these sorts of like mammalian responses, and like that's why it's so like difficult to overcome too, because it's so like primal, it's so like deep in us that it's like so hard to overcome. And it's not like something to feel guilty for because it's just like so embedded. Especially for trauma, because like we can't control like how trauma affects us. I mean, if we could, that would be wonderful. Like there wouldn't be PTSD or CPTSD, but like we can't. So we have to like process the trauma that we go through, and yeah, those responses are part of that trauma response. And yeah, like honestly, like I learned to like fawn, but I've been through like all of them. Like I've had moments where I froze, I had moments where I like fought, I had moments where I wanted to run away. But usually it ends up being funny. Or it used to be. Now I'm like way healthier. Like I've come through a lot, like I've been on a long journey. But yeah, it's like weird. It's like so messed up. Like it's just it's a lot to go through. And there's even that response where I think there's another F. I feel like there's another one where you say like forget, you know, like you forget what happened to you and you forget that something is happening to you. Like you can just like wipe your mind of the traumatic thing that is happening or did happen. So that happens too. Like I've forgotten so much. Like I've genuinely like just poofed out of my head like stuff that's happened to me. Like it doesn't actually go away, but like it's just like in the archives, like in the vault. And then I remember later, like years later, and I'm like, oh, like that's what happened. That's why I didn't remember it. But like now it's not like traumatic for me to remember. It's just like I just can recall it, and then it's like, oh yeah, that happened, and then I process it. But that's from like years and years and years of like working with kami-sama and like praying to kami-sama and working through things like that. So it's just like it's a process, right? Like it doesn't happen overnight. Like you have to process everything and like look at yourself fully and reflect on yourself and accept what's happened and accept that you can't change things. And it's not acceptance as in like telling yourself it was okay, or like like patting yourself on the head. Like as much as sometimes you want to, again, that doesn't help. It might be like enabling yourself that your behaviors are okay. So like even if you sometimes you need to tell yourself like how I acted was okay, and that's healthy in a way. But also sometimes you have to tell yourself like, no, that wasn't okay, and I have to change it, and that's okay too. Like that's also self care, because again, you're not enabling yourself, right? You're setting the boundary with yourself because you love yourself and because you care about yourself. You want to see yourself do better. So it's kind of like that. But yeah, I guess I call it the lizard brain. I explain a lot of my son's autistic responses to my husband that way. It's happening in the old part of your brain that's trying not to get eaten by a dinosaur. Yes, not your smart human frontal lobe. Exactly. And well, yeah, I've been there too. Just disassociating in the middle of a crisis. Oh no, same. It's so bad, honestly. Oh, I feel like whenever I'm here, I dominate the chat. Maybe start a podcast. You should. Oh my gosh, yeah. Start a podcast, start a live stream. Like I would watch. I said that like a few streams ago, but I'm like, people. I want to see everyone's thoughts. I want to see everyone's live stream and like podcast, and like that would be better than like seeing the influencers who are just like just making content for like money and like engagement. And it's like, okay. I mean, not everyone, right? Like, I've seen some really good people and creators that are like sincere, but it's rare. It's rare to find people like that. So, I really want like everyone here, like, if you're inclined to like make a podcast, make a live stream, make videos, make TikToks, etc. So it'd be good. Like, more sincere people on the internet would be like healing, because I'm like I scroll on Instagram and stuff and TikTok sometimes like during my breaks, and I'm just like, what's happening? And I always end up feeling more exhausted after. Like, so that's why I kind of try to focus on like just funny stuff and not like there's this one guy who's really kind of funny, but he's trying to be serious, and um he's like saying it's like Gnosticism, but it's not. It's like his own kind of thing. And he's like, you have to go through the gates of Jesus to like enter the next realm. And he's like completely like, I think he's completely serious about it. But he's presenting it in a way that's very like shock value and clickbaity and like all this stuff. So maybe it's not sincere, but it makes me laugh because it's like, did you know that on the seventh gate of like the Archeron or something, it's like you have to say this password, and he's like, I could not believe my eyes when I heard that. And it's almost like satire. It feels like what someone would talk about like a tourist destination. They're talking about like the astral or something, and it's kind of funny, but it's also kind of weird, and it's also kind of like grifty because he's like, then like subscribe to my Patreon and like pay me money to tell you about the seventh gate of like the Yellow King, and I'm just like, no. So, but it's okay. So sorry, that was a tangent. Cassidy says, would there be any chance you can touch on healing with the help of Kami-sama? Been having a rough time physically and mentally. I wanted to know if there's ways for that to work out. Oh, of course, yes, I will. Also, I can handle religious comment on social media. My front pages are mostly funny bird videos. No, yeah, that's for the best. Like, there's so many weird like content and grifters and stuff, so it's better to just avoid it. But so for the question, like how to heal with the help of Kami-sama. So honestly, it all starts with communication, So like to heal together with Kami-sama, it all starts with communicating with Kami-sama, praying to Kami-sama. And this doesn't mean that you have to like sit in front of the altar, sit in front of the shrine and like, like do like this and like pray. It doesn't mean that. It means like anywhere you are, like anytime. You pray from like your heart and your head. Like you just like think like in the like inner voice we all have, like our thought voice. Just like think towards Kami-sama, like talk to them and tell them everything that's like hurting you, like mentally, physically, your fears, anxieties, worries. Like just tell them and don't feel afraid that they don't care or they're not going to listen, or like you're annoying. Like don't worry about that, because that's not true. Like kami-sama won't think that you're like annoying or anything like that. Like they'll want to listen. Especially if you pray to Tenchikano Kami-sama, which is like the Kami-sama I pray to, and like the Kami-sama of our shrine. They like have expressed in our traditions many times that they want to hear people. Like they want to hear from people. They want people to talk to them. They want to help people through suffering. Like so many times they say this. So especially with them, like you don't have to worry at all. Like you just pray anything on your mind and just tell them everything. And like people are like, well, some people tell me like, well, like how does that help actually? Because I feel like sometimes I pray to Kami-sama like that, or I talk to Kami-sama like that, and I don't feel anything. And it's not about like feeling or not feeling something. Like it's important not to expect like some kind of like like miracle or like experience, or like like oh my gosh, like I felt Kami-sama, or like hear a response or something like that. It's important not to like expect that. It's important just to but what the key here is that you're processing your feelings, and you're processing your thoughts, and you're like letting everything out, and then trusting that Kami-sama is accepting them and receiving them, especially that you're praying from a sincere heart. And then when you trust that Kami-sama's hearing everything and accepting everything, and then you can trust, like, so if Kami-sama hear everything I say and listens to me and wants to help me, then it's natural that they will start to help me work through everything I talked about. And now, like, how are they going to help you, right? Because it's like Kami-sama is just like invisible, like they can't talk, they can't like, well, they're like invisible in the sense of like, it's not like a person standing in front of you. But in the case of like Tenchikano Kami-sama, like they're everywhere. So like technically, like we're all like already looking at Kami-sama, talking to Kami-sama. So it's kind of scary to think about, but it's true. Like Kami-sama's everywhere. So they're always gonna hear what you're saying, and they're always gonna be listening to you. And we're in the midst of their presence. So we can trust that they're gonna listen and hear what we say, and they want to hear what we say. And again, like how would they help us? So because like at least for like Tenchikano Kami-sama, because they're like the energy in everything, we call this like divine arrangement. So it's kind of like if Kami-sama hears you say something or vent about something, then they will accept it, and then they will start to work to try to arrange a situation that will lead to your healing and will lead to your like help, like that you've asked for. And how this can happen is like so many different ways, so many different variables and so many different ways. But for me, it's like it's been in like situations that I've been in. It's been in the people I've met and talked to, especially like connections between other people, situations, opportunities that come up, and I pray about them. It's like Kami-sama, is this like an opportunity I should take because it's leading to something, So all of these sorts of events that happen after the prayer, I pay attention to them and I pray about them when they happen, and see where like Kami-sama is trying to arrange things and how I should follow that path, And sometimes like it's not always like good, right? Like it's not always like a good thing, So like sometimes like I might be led to a situation that made it really hard on me, like made me feel like hard feelings and made me like cry and like everything's going bad. But then I think about it and I reflect on it and I'm like, okay, this situation made me feel horrible, but also like it made me face all of my hard feelings, and it made me kind of like, it gave me an opportunity to reflect on the type of people that I shouldn't accept, or I shouldn't like be so kind to. Like I should set boundaries with these people so this doesn't happen again, because I see the consequences of the actions that I had been doing that were unhealthy. So I'm put in a situation where, my pattern led to a bad outcome. And so I realized stronger that yes, this pattern is not good. It's going to lead to more of these situations. So I have to really like work hard to change this pattern and like avoid these situations happening again. So it's kind of like that. Like even if it's not really a good thing, sometimes it's like a necessary thing that we have to kind of like go through. But I say that with like a very big like asterisk, like a very big star, like very careful, because sometimes bad things in life just happen, and they're gonna happen in the middle of your healing process, and they're not always kami-sama. So that happens too, right? Like, um, because for me, like I asked kami-sama for help in 2019. And then all of 2019 and then 2020, there was like so much things happening, right? And there was like COVID, and unfortunately, my grandmother passed away, and there was so many other difficulties, right? But it's not like I prayed kami-sama to heal and then like COVID happened. Like it's not, they're not related. It's just bad things can happen in life on top of your healing journey. So it's important to pray about everything that happens, and like ask kami-sama, like if this is just if this is something that you've arranged for me to overcome and heal, then please let me go through with it, like okay, like please let everything be okay. But if this is something that like is an actual hardship that I have to overcome, then please help me through this hardship, and please let me overcome this hardship together with you. So kind of the same but not exactly the same. So it's kind of complicated like that, but that's why just praying about everything that happens is good, so you'll keep being guided. And if you ever need like extra support on that, like that's why at least that's why like in Konko Faith, like there's Toritsugi mediators. So you can ask the Toritsugi mediator, like what do these situations mean, or like what's happening, like how should I proceed, like can you ask kami-sama? And then the Toritsugi mediator can also ask kami-sama, and you pray together, and then you can pray about it after. And if it's like all the same alignment, then you keep going forward, right? So it's like a process. And that's really important for like the mental health side. But even for the physical health side, it's also like really relevant, I found. Because for me, I had so like there was one year, 2023, when I was still going through the process of like healing and stuff. And in 2023, I had like crazy illnesses. Like I had so many illnesses. I have like a stack, like this stick of like all the clinics and doctors I went to. Because I went to get like second opinions. I went to get like scans. I got like all sorts of body scans, tests, ultrasounds, etc., blood work. Like things were happening. I don't know what was going on with me. I was having like, and then 2024 too, like I was having like really bad dizziness, like really bad dizzy spells. Like the whole world would be spinning so fast. And I got like ear test. I got a brain scan. I got two. I got the MRI, the CAT scan. I got my eyes checked. I got like my sinuses checked. I had like every single thing possible checked. And I got my hormones checked, like everything, because I thought I was dying. But it was not. I wasn't. So, but I had to rest more. Like I had to rest more, and I got like weird rashes and like all this stuff. But I personally felt like in my specific situation, it was kind of like kami-sama like renovation. Like I called it the kami-sama renovation. Like it was like as if when you're doing a house renovation, you have to like tear everything down, and then like you have to like build it up again. So I felt like that was kami-sama's renovation of like my body, because like taking out all the impurities, like taking out all the kegare. And I kind of knew this too because like in the Kyoten, there's a lot of stories like this too, where like this one girl, I forgot what happened exactly, but she like wanted to have better skin, and then like after she prayed for better skin, like she got a bunch of like pox, like red pox on her, all over her face and all over her skin. And it feels like the opposite, right? Like, oh my gosh, she prayed for better skin, but she got like this huge rash and huge like situation. But then like she didn't stop praying to kami-sama. Like she trusted kami-sama. Like she knew that like there must have been a response to her prayers, and she didn't lose trust in kami-sama. She kept doing toritsugi and like praying about it and trusting in kami-sama. And then like eventually like all the poxes like fell off, like all off of her skin, and she had like perfect, like silky, like smooth white skin, because in Japan like pale skin was really beautiful at the time. So she got all that beautiful skin, but it was like this crazy thing had to happen to remove the kegare. So it's kind of intense, but and that story always kind of scared me. But I think I went through that in 2023, because like so many strange things happen, like weird rashes and like strange like pains, and like here I had a pain, and like I thought it was my spleen. I thought it was my kidney or something. But anyway, like I trusted coming some of that. It was like the process of like removing like impurities and trauma and like all this stuff that was building up in my body. And genuinely speaking, like I felt like that getting over that time, I did gain a lot of strength and I gained a lot of health that I don't normally like. I'm not used to it, like that's even true right now. Like I'm not used to being like this healthy or like not tired. Like, because in the past I would be very tired. I have to nap every single day. Like I would be so lethargic. It would be really bad. But nowadays, like I have so much energy that I'm confused. Like I don't know why I have so much energy, because it wasn't always like this. But I feel like 2023, 2024 was kind of like that renovation, where like I kind of overcome these like kegares, or like meguri, like accumulated offenses, accumulated impurities, and they kind of come out of the body somehow. I don't know how it all works, but like that kind of was also something for the physical side. So like it was like the mental side first that I had to work through, and then the physical side, like my body was going through it. And then now it's a little bit better. I still think there's some stuff I have to clear, but it's a lot better than it was before. And I'm really thankful to Kami-sama for that. But the key was that I had to trust Kami-sama. And of course, like I went to the doctor because like, like I have to make sure, right? Like even if Kami-sama is clearing out things with impurities, like through the physically, like I don't know if I need medicine to help clear this, or I don't know if I need something else, or like a treatment or like a surgery to really remove everything, right? So it's kind of like that. Like you have to be careful. You have to have the balance between like spiritual healing and physical healing. Like it's all three. So like when you're going through healing, you need to do spiritual healing, mental healing, physical healing, and you can't ignore the necessity sometimes of medicine, surgery, etc. for the physical healing as well. So, we have to be careful for that as well. Because in 2024, I got COVID and it was miserable, but I took medicine, and I offered my medicine on the altar. And I'm like, Kami-sama, like, please bless the medicine. And then I took it every night to recover from COVID. So it was like the balance between everything. And I remember too, like after COVID, I had like a slew of other illnesses. And the worst one was like I had like something wrong was with my tonsil. I don't think it was tonsillitis. I think some virus or bacteria. I don't know. But it was so painful. Like it was worse than COVID. And I remember that I just like I remember I spent like half the day like in the hiromai here, like on the tatami, like just sobbing because it was so painful, and like begging Kami-sama to like help the pain. And like the medicine I had didn't really help, and it was bad. Oh, and I also got a double ear infection. So that was also really bad. Like I got an ear infection in both of my ears, and it was so painful. It felt like someone was like sticking like a screwdriver in my head on both sides. And I was also crying. Like I usually don't cry from pain, but that was so painful. But yeah, I took medicine and it was better. So I didn't just pray to Kami-sama. Like I went to the doctor and I got medicine, and then I prayed to Kami-sama, and I recovered. But it was a really crazy 2 years, like 2023, 2024. I mean, it was kind of like the beginning of 23 to like middle of 24. And then I had the big trip to overseas. But that was like really bad. Like Like not really bad. It was really good. You know, it was like okage. It was like blessings, but it was like intense. You know, like I had to go through that because it was like too much like accumulating. I feel like so it was like getting all that out. But yeah, so okay. Wait, sorry. I saw the comments now. Wait. Okay. So let's see. That. Okay. Oh, sorry. Oh my gosh. Okay. So wait, hold on. Sorry. I'm like, oh my god. The comments are like they're like glitchy. So I'm like, oh my god. Okay, so Tora says, I said something like this to a therapist once. Like, I recognize I'm not the main character of the entire planet, so I try not to take every event personally. Kami-sama's juggling a lot. Oh, absolutely, yeah. Like, just so many things can happen in the world at any time from, like, the world itself or, like, people's free will. So, like, not every single suffering is, like, directly from Kami-sama or, like, a divine force. It can just happen, you know? So, yeah. Tora says, so scary when you're going through it. It seems like they just keep throwing more doctor visits at you. Like, I'm sick. Can you schedule this for me? No, exactly. It was crazy. Like, I should next stream. I should take my clinic cards out. And I'll show you. It's like a deck. I'm like I got this clinic, got this clinic. So it was crazy, you know. But I'm glad it's not as serious right now. Knock on wood. Kami-sama, please. I hope I did my time. But yeah, I don't know with the future, you know. So I just try to take it a day at a time. Son says one time during work, I work as a pharmacist, so I check prescriptions if the dosage is proper, etc. Oh, so good, so good. I feel like Kami-sama pushed me to double check one patient prescription after they left, almost immediately, and I realized there were some mistakes which I overlooked. They had a cute child. Okay, he was distracting. Oh no, it's okay. I understand. Kids are so cute, and they're just like they're so loud. So it's like, oh, you know. But that's good you checked. That's good you checked. Thank you, Kami-sama. And Inaza-san says, so I quickly needed to phone them. I felt this look at it again feeling when I sat down. Look at that. Like, I'm so glad. You know, I definitely feel like that's Kami-sama, you know, Kami-sama's guidance through us. Like, again, it's not like necessarily like a message or like a big spiritual experience, but like guidance, you know, to check. Like, in your situation, like, Kami-sama's like, you know, giving you the feeling to check again and make sure everything is correct. And this is super good and super, like, it's good that you have a connection to Kami-sama because, like, someone who doesn't really have any connection, they might just be like, okay, it was all good. And then, you know, the person will be in a bad situation, you know. So it's really good that you have that connection with Kami-sama so they can tell you and show you that, oh no, like, there's something wrong here. So please correct it and make sure the person will be okay. So that's like super good and like super yoka. Like it's super thankful. So I'm really glad that you were able to notice and correct it. And hopefully the person has the right prescription now, like if they came in and everything. So I'm really glad. But yeah, but it's like, you know, don't feel bad because like it's completely normal. Like, I mean, I'm not saying you feel bad, but like, you know, mistakes happen. Even for me, like I make mistakes all the time. I overlook things. So that's normal, but like it's blessed because being close to Kami-sama means that we can avoid, you know, worse things from happening because of the connection, because of the communication. So it's a really thankful thing. Cassidy says, sometimes I get a warm feeling of gratitude even when I'm not in the best spirits overall, and it always gives me a bit of hope that Kami-sama is still there for me. Oh, yes. No, absolutely. Like, I personally feel like that feeling of gratitude that you feel is like from Kami-sama, like feeling close to Kami-sama. Because remember, like, in like our own souls, like our own spirits are Kami-sama. They're Mitama no Kami. So we're always like connected to Kami-sama as a whole because we're part of the world, like the Kami world, inherently. Just like, you know, we're in the human body right now and it can cloud the Kami nature. But like inherently we're always connected and we can always be connected. So, you know, in those moments when you feel the gratitude, when you feel like you're like, you know, you're connected to Kami-sama, you know, I feel like that's like that's what it means, you know. Like it's not just like, you know, you don't have to like worry like if it is or not. Like it is, I feel like Kami-sama are with you, and that feeling of gratitude is what connects us. So it's really good. Oh, Tara says, send me some of that extra energy, please. I want to, yes. And Cassidy says, will do. I'm glad. Yes. Tara says, and I see. So Tara says, I meant from Olivia Sensei when she says she has too much energy, but I always take more warm love from Kami-sama. Cassidy, oh my bad. No, that's you know, we're all sharing good energy, you know. So you know, we share with each other, you know, the good vibes, connection with Kami-sama. You know, there's unlimited to go around, you know. So you know, we can get energy from Kami-sama anytime. We just have to like ask and open our spirit to feeling like empowered, and get energy from Kami-sama. Just like sometimes might have to clear the meguri, like the accumulated offenses or accumulated kegare, to really feel like everything. But you know, the clearing process will happen, and you can work through it. And then when that is happening, then you can start to feel closer, because the kegare, like the bad energies, the like offenses, they're not blocking. It's like, you know, it's not blocking the connection to Kami-sama as much. It's like cleared away. It's kind of like having like a bunch of garbage in front of you when you're talking to someone and you're like, this like stinky garbage is between us. Like it's kind of weird. So, you know, you just gotta take out the garbage and then you can talk to each other and it's good, you know? So it's kind of like that. And Ina said, yes, they're right. Oh, I'm glad you got that. I'm glad everything is okay. So that's good. But yeah, so I don't know. It's just like there's some kind of like, there's like, you know, natural things and natural guidance, and also like kind of sometimes mysterious things. But there's a teaching I like in Konko that says like, you know, well, it says the official like English translation is like, Kami-sama will never let you have an experience with no meaning, you know. But like asterisk, but the context is that like after you build a connection with Kami-sama, after you start praying to Kami-sama, after you start asking them for guidance and doing toritsugi if you do, or you know, once you start to establish that connection like consciously and willfully, then the help that Kami-sama can give you, the guidance, the help, the healing, you know, Kami-sama won't let you go through anything that won't have a meaning for it to happen, you know. So like my my double ear infection that felt like screwdrivers were like poking my brain, um that was not like a meaningless experience for me, because I knew that the whole context of what was happening, the whole context of what I was praying for, and the whole context of like trusting Kami-sama to know that even though I'm suffering right now, I trust that I'm going to get over this suffering. And you know, it's not for nothing. It's not just me suffering to suffer, you know. It's for like, I personally felt like it's for clearing kegare, and through everything that had came before, the years before, you know. So that experience had meaning for me and it was important for me. But like, you know, when I had like, I don't know, when I had like ear infections as a kid, or when I had like a stomach flu as a kid, like that probably was not like necessarily like Kami-sama. It was probably just me eating something bad. You know, so it's not like every single time. But if you are praying and if you are communicating, you are asking, you know, sometimes it does have that meaning. If you like, you know, if it's like that circumstance that you see it and you understand it, and that's kind of like a process to get there. So, you know, it's difficult, but it's kind of the process of our connection with Kami-sama growing and evolving. So it's a little complicated, but it's important, you know. Something just to end, like for like we're on the last 10 minutes of the stream, but something that really moved me about Konko Faith was that like even in like So like Konko Faith, and if you don't know, the person who began the Konko Faith, Konko Daiji, he started like this faith kind of started because he started to grow a connection with this kami-sama named Konjin-sama. And Konjin-sama is kind of like seen as like the Aramitama, or like the rough spirit of Tenchikan no Kami-sama, but like also, but they're like one and the same. And so like before it was like that was the Aramitama, but now they're kind of like the same, like Kami-sama, like Konjin-sama and Tenchikan no Kami-sama. It's complicated, but anyway, so Konko Daiji-sama began to have a connection with this Kami-sama, and they were very like intense at first, but over time, like through the connection that he was building with Konjin-sama, then Konjin-sama began to, show more divine blessings to Kongo Daijin-sama, and you can see how their relationship develops. Like, I don't want to, I don't want to cheapen it by rushing the story, so I'm just like, the general summary right now. But the thing is that even after this long, many years journey of his faith in Konjin-sama, and you see how it grows over time, and like how it goes from, apologizing for offenses and irreverences, and recovering from a throat illness that almost killed him, to genuine faith and appreciation and apology and request, and growing the faith with like the faith as in like the trust and the connection and the bond with Konjin-sama was growing over time. So like the same way we become closer to friends over time, and we become closer to people we communicate with more, and we go through trials together, and we go through situations together, and we develop a closer bond. It's the same way with Kami-sama. So there was the same way with Kokodaji-sama and Konjin-sama. They developed their bond closer over time, going through many situations, many events, many trials and tribulations. That bond became closer because of all of these experiences together over many years. Now, even through all of that, and even close to his time when he passed away, like there is still times when he would get like sickness, like even during the time when people are saying he's like ikigami, like he's someone who's like showing his kami nature, and there's like rarely any human nature. It's like a kami-sama, like in a person, like it's kind of like that. It's not like special power. It's like you can see someone's mitama no kami very clearly, but like they're still a human. So it's kind of like that distinction. Like even though the person's a human, they can see their mitama no kami, their true nature very clearly and sincerely, and they're not like hiding anything, or they're not like trying to put on airs or be above others. They're just very like kami-sama, right? So even though he got to that point and he had such a deep faith in Kojin-sama, there was still times when he got like sicknesses. Like he had like stomach illnesses and like colds, and like I think he had like a situation with like cholera too, like even at that time. And some people might say like, oh, that means like it wasn't real or something, but to me that means it's like it's extra real, because it's like even though we have such a close connection to Kami-sama, like that doesn't mean like the rules of nature like just stop, like so it's like becoming closer to our Kami nature means we understand how nature and the universe works, right? Like we understand it so deep, and we understand like if we touch something with a virus and we touch our face, then the virus is going to infect us. Like that's like the rule that happens in nature, right? Or like if we eat something bad, it's going to make our stomach upset. Like this is how it's all working, right? And it's not pleasant, and it's not good for us. Like no one wants to get sick, but in accepting that's how it works, we can also receive blessings this way, because it's like we can understand deeply, like not everything is like as personal, or like as like you were saying, Tora, like it's not like the world is out to get you. It's like this is just how nature works. It's just how the whole things move, like it's just how it is. And we're in a human body and we have to accept that and accept there's weaknesses to it. And, with that acceptance and understanding, we can get through life with not as much fear or as much suffering, like as in like tormenting ourselves, like thinking that, maybe we like deserve this, or like why does this happen to me, because again, it's like, sometimes maybe the illness was like, okay, got a clearing, but sometimes it's just the illness, like I think, like for me personally, like I think the COVID was just COVID. But like the tonsil and like the ear infection was like something different, like it felt different than like the ear infections I had as a kid, or like, the tonsil issues I had as a kid. Like it felt kind of like I had to overcome this. But when I got COVID, it was like I was miserable. I was out for like a month and it was like awful. But I felt it was just like the illness, like, okay, I'm just going through the illness. I have to like be careful and rest and recover and like follow the rules of how to overcome a virus, get fluids, rest, take medicine, don't break the rules, don't think I'm above the rules of how things work, and understand that it's dangerous and we have to be careful, So it's kind of like that, it's kind of the balance between understanding like how nature is and like how things work, and like even if you've reached a very close connection and like bond with kami-sama, like we're not above the rules of nature, we're still a part of nature. And I think the ultimate like reminder of this, I think, or the ultimate like like the equalizer, what they say, of course, is like death, right? Like we're like everyone and everything is going to die. And like, sorry, that sounds scary, but it's not scary, right? It's okay, because like everything that exists has to, die, it has to pass away. And that's why they say like the great equalizer is death, because like everything has to die. Like, Konko Daijin sama died, Jesus died, if he existed, Buddha died, everybody died. All the great figures in history and religious leaders, like none of them are here right now. Something happened to them, or they just don't exist right now. So it's kind of like that, right? And like even, stars and planets, like they will cease to exist. And that sounds scary and like sad, but it's not, because it's understanding like how the universe works and how the rules of nature work, and like following those rules and like accepting them and understanding them like deeply, and knowing that it's not like an evil, or like a thing to be afraid of, or like, anything like that. Like like of course I'm not saying I want to die, like I don't want to die. I want to live a full life, before that happens, of course. But I also accept that it's a rule that at some point, like I'm not going to be here. So I accept that, and like I don't know when it will happen or how it will happen, and I just can only hope it will be like when I'm really old and I'm in my bed, I'm like, I'm sleepy, and then I just pass away. Hopefully it's like that. But if not, shogun night, like it can't be helped. But yeah, that's just something that we have to accept and understand. Like nature moves as it does. So, like even if we have like a super close connection, or like we are healed through kami-sama and kami-sama guides us, and all of these really good things and really good blessings, we in receiving those blessings and understanding that connection, we begin to understand also like how nature works and how the universe works and the rules we're all bound by, and accepting those rules and understanding them. And it brings you peace, actually. Like at least for me, I feel more peaceful to understand it all. Because in the past, like before I knew Konko Faith or Kami-sama, or even had any real kind of religion, I thought like every time I got every single time I got sick or every single time something bad happened to me, I felt it was like maybe like a curse or like I did something bad or like maybe it's true like God is punishing me and this so on and so forth. And it's like, okay, well maybe like maybe maybe it could have been a curse, it could have been punishment, it could have been healing. I don't know what it is, but also in general, it's just what can happen. It's just life. It's just part of life. It can happen, and no one's at fault. It just happens, right? Like it's just part of the various way of how things work, right? And I'm not saying it's like good or like bad. I'm just saying it is what it is, right? And I understand like it's painful. Nobody wants to, nobody wants to face death and nobody wants to face the death of a loved one. I'm still sad about my loved ones passing away and everything, but you know, and that's okay too, but also understanding like that's just how this physical world is. That's the rules of it. So, it is what it is. So, Torres says, dying is the one thing we all have in common. Death and taxes, as my uncle would say. Oh my gosh, no, exactly. Exactly. It's true though, like I don't think there's like anything that like lives really forever. Maybe. Maybe, maybe the universe does because it's always expanding. But then they say like, oh, there might be like a big crunch at some point, like the universe just collapses on itself. I don't really know. Um, but like stars and planets and asteroids and like even like little tiny bacteria stuff, like they don't live forever. I mean, some things are close to immortality, but it still has an ending. So, you know, so it's just like, just have to accept that. But yeah, but I don't know. I think it's kind of like I kind of like it. Like me personally, I feel like it's also like a beautiful thing. And I don't think it's like necessarily like a scary thing. Like I'm afraid, I'm not afraid of, I think that's the thing, right? Like I'm not afraid of death itself, but I'm afraid of not finishing what I wanted to do in life, or like it's not like I have goals that I want to fulfill, but it's like I'm afraid of missing out on time I could have. I'm afraid I don't want to lose the little bit of time I have. That's what I'm worried about. But if I had a moment where I had to, knock on wood, I don't want to, but if I was in that situation, like I would be okay to understand that it's my time. Just because I know that everything, the same thing that's happening to me right now will happen to everything else. So it's kind of complicated like that. And it's okay to like not want to. I think it's actually healthy not want to die early. It's better that way. But also just, not having to worry about the fact of it itself can be very like liberating and gives you more peace and can help you process things in life more healthy. So understanding these rules of nature and rules of kamisama can help us have more healing and peace and understanding and calmness within ourselves, and more wisdom to approach the world rather than feeling kind of just overwhelmed by it all. And then feeling of overwhelm can also affect our health, like our mental health and our physical health. So kind of working through that as well will help our mental and physical health too, because we start to have more clarity and calmness about it, about those facts of life. And then once you have that down as like a foundation, with kamisama, your foundation should, I feel like, is important to have a foundation with like kamisama, and then a foundation in like understanding the way the world works, and then you move forward to like how can I work through my own personal life and my own problems and my own choices and life and things like that. So it's like a not step by step, but like a, foundation, like building a house, right? So you have the foundation, the pillars, and then you can build the house, and then you can decorate it. And the decorating is the easy part, but you need to like make sure your house has a solid foundation. You don't want like wind or like rain to like destroy your house so easy, right? So it's kind of like that. Tora says, I can't remember the name for it, but one of the Japanese concepts I've seen when reading about haiku, that knowing things are impermanent gives them additional value and beauty, seems to apply here. Ah, yes, yes, exactly. Yeah, it's very close to that, like understanding. Um, like impermanence is another rule of like that's connected to death, but other things too, right? Like even how we change as people. I'm not going to be the same Olivia as I will be 20 years from now. Maybe this kyokai will change, or maybe something else will change. Maybe my hair color will change, I don't know. But or maybe I won't have any hair at all. So even if it's not death, change is like a cousin of death, and it means that nothing will always be the same. But that's also a rule of the universe. Like things are always changing, and yeah, accepting that rule too. Um, it also brings you peace and calmness, and yeah, like as you said, like a value, like understanding the beauty and the importance of things, and treasuring them more than just taking things for granted. So. Oh yes, mono no aware. Yes, yes, exactly, exactly. Like understanding the things will always change and things will not stay the same. There's a lot of in Japanese culture, like cherry blossoms, like are related to that. Honestly, that's why I find cherry blossoms a very like melancholy symbol. Like to me, cherry blossoms are like memento mori. They're like as grim to me as like skulls because they remind me of this exact thing, like impermanence and nothing beautiful lasts forever, and like death, like like because cherry blossoms are only blooming for a short time and then they go away. So it's kind of like memento mori for me. Even though everyone else during cherry blossom season is like, oh my god, cherry blossom is so beautiful, so cute, and they're like taking pictures, and I'm like, I'm sad. Everything like everything is gonna die. No, I'm joking, but I do think about that during spring. I don't know. It's kind of like dark, but but I think about that, like how um yeah, like that feeling, that impermanence feeling, that things always change and nothing will last forever. Oh yeah. Yeah, Dora says every Sakura Matsu is like a Halloween party to Olivia Sensei. Felt, to be honest. No, exactly. Exactly. It feels so like skulls and skeletons and like like the mitama too. But that too, because in the spring equinox, that's like the mitama matsuri, like the grand mitama matsuri. So I'm also like, we go to the cemetery and we're in the cemetery and there's like sakura and I'm like everything is like nothing lasts forever. I'm you know, I honestly feel more like life giving time or like vitality like right now in summer. Like summer feels like everything's like green and lush and there's rain and the soil's like fertile and like flowers are coming but they're like staying. So like summertime for me is like the beginnings, the like lush, the like the life. But then like springtime I'm just like nothing lasts forever. It just gets so like sad, not sad but like melancholic, poetry, like thinking about it. But yeah. Now this says, I think the fact they come back though is a good symbol of resilience as well. Things change, but each time is a different beauty to appreciate. Oh no, absolutely, absolutely. Like it's also emblematic. Like death isn't forever. It's not like we die and then that's it. And like it's not just like about like the concept of like reincarnation. Like as in like the spiritual sense. Like what I mean by that is the old adage, like the old saying, like energy can't be created or destroyed, it just transforms. So like even like what like how we came into the world and how we come out of it, we're always coming from something in the universe. Like there's something is always persisting throughout the universe. Like life is always coming back. We're always in cycles. We go from, losing something and then gaining something back. And it is like a symbol of resilience and like renewal and like rebirth. That even if something ends, it can always start again. So it's also like hopeful in that way too. But yeah, that's why like I like the cycle of seasons, because that's like so perfect. Like it's so like perfect to like human life and death, because like even if you think about it, like it's so weird, like because springtime, right? Like everything is like kind of baby, like baby buds. Things are starting to grow. They're not like fully grown yet, but they're like starting to. So it's like our childhood. It's like when we're born, we're like baby, and we start to grow up. And then like summertime is kind of like like the peak of life, like maybe like from like age 20 to like 50, like the whole adulthood. Or maybe 20 is still kind of young, but like like late spring to like early summer, and then like late summer, like the whole warm season where like there's lots of life and lots of activity and animals and bugs everywhere. That's kind of like our adulthood. And then like we get kind of like to like middle age, like 55 to like 65, 70. I don't know, I feel like people are getting younger as time goes on. So I don't like, to me a 75-year-old is still kind of young in Japan. But there's kind of like that autumn season, right? And it kind of matches too, because like sometimes like our hair gets thinner, or like we get a little bit more, we lose a little bit of fat in our face or like body. I mean, like aging process, right? And we kind of go through that phase, but then we're like cool too, because you're like mature, and like you got a lot of experience, you have wisdom, and you're kind of like there's a lot of beauty in that. And then like yeah, like winter is like the elder years, like even our hair turns white, like our hair turns white, we get like a little bit more wrinkles. So it's kind of like the trees like losing their leaves. It's like very like peaceful and quiet, and there's not much happening. It's kind of like retirement. And then what happens after winter, right? Like it doesn't just stop. Then there's spring again, right? So I feel like even in our life, like if you get to your winter years and then you pass away, it's like no, there's still like a spring coming. However that may be. Even if you don't believe in reincarnation, either that's like new life as a mitama no kami-sama, or new life as a spirit, or a new life as something else in the universe, because whatever we came from, it will return, right? So it's interesting to think of it like that. Like it's not really over. It's like we're still going, just it changed. It's a new season. Spring 2025 is not the same as spring 2026, right? Like every year it's the same cycle, but it's a different year. So things change and they're different, but they also go around, it's not like forever ending. So it's really good. Like it's really good. Like I love that, thinking about that. It's like one of my favorite things to think about. But yeah. Now this says, yes, the change of seasons is so nice. I wish there were more seasonal changes where I live. Oh, things feel a bit too stagnant here at times. Oh no, yes, I know. No, same in Canada. It was like winter, baby spring for like a week, hot for like 2 months, and then winter again. It's like okay, but I feel like living here, like in Japan and like in the Shinto world and like world of kami-sama, like Konko Faith. We actually have like, sorry, I keep talking, but like there's actually a season where like, uh, you know, yeah, like Tora said, I know there are some areas in the world where the weather is way more stable than 4 seasons in Japan. But I bet if you look at local agriculture, you'll find a different yearly cycle. Yes, exactly. And like I noticed that here in Japan too, because like we have like the 4 seasons technically, but there's mini seasons, like I'm starting to pay attention to that. So like, 1 week is like, people are saying like, oh, it's too cold for spring. and it's not warm enough yet. But I'm seeing like, like the certain plants, like Suzuki, it's like a grass I like, and like other like daffodils, right? Like you start to see them blooming in like the cold spring, like it's like February or something, or like March, and you see like the daffodils and like the Suzuki, and they're starting to come out. And then, and then later on, you'll see like other plants like tulips or dandelions, and you can kind of like, again, like you split the season into like mini seasons. So it's like, okay, around this time of year, like even if it's cold, like the daffodils will come out, or like around this time of year, like the bugs, like the certain bug types comes to type the certain bug type comes out. So it's like these little changes that you notice, like the more you pay attention to nature, you'll start to see like little signs and like little changes, even if the weather is like not, even if it's not like the poster child of like spring, or like the poster version of autumn, like you'll still see these like little baby changes. So like in Canada, for example, like the winter that started in November is different than the winter in January, So like the November winter, it's cold and it's snowing, but like the snow might be a little bit more like watery or something, or like there's still some trees that have like a little bit of foliage, but then it starts to fall, and then it might rain and it might snow, and it's like a little bit different. But then, you go through November and then you go through December, and you're seeing these like little differences that happen. And then, you get to January and it's like really cold now, and the snow is more like ice. And you'll see like the trees are now covered in ice, and they don't cover in ice in November, but like they're both snowy and they're both cold, but there's like these little differences, right? Or like even in April, it can like snow in April in Canada. But like again, like the April snow is different than the January snow, because there will be like little flowers, like snowdrops coming out of the ground in April. Or like the snow like storm doesn't last as long, and there's no more like ice on the tree. Like it's these like little things. So it's like it might be just all winter, but things are happening, things are changing through this winter. And in a way, that's like seasons, seasons of life, changes of life. So it doesn't matter like which climate you're in, or like which environment, like even if it's like tropical all year round, there's still like these little changes that happen through the year. And if you pay attention, like you'll notice them, like, oh, like now, like this plant is growing, or like this animal's here. And you start to see these changes the more you like pay attention. So there's always that cycle that's happening, even if it's not like the poster version of the four seasons. So, and I think it's especially important, like to pay attention to nature and how things are flowing and working. And maybe it's not like, the best right now because of climate change and everything happening, but we just have to pray to Kami-sama and like try to adapt to this change. And hopefully, of course, hopefully that like the people in power will make changes, that things are stop getting worse. But we have to take it a day at a time, as individuals. So yes, but yeah. Now this says, this true. I'm glad it gives way to the nature that thrives in this climate. Yes, exactly. So nice to see the like little seasons. Like right now, for example, it's June, so it's called like rainy season, but it's not really raining that much. I mean, it is, but like still, like we see like the seasonal like hydrangeas, like ajisai, like the flowers with the blue. They're like little like this, and they're really pretty. And frogs are coming out, like little froggies. You'll see them, and snails, and all sorts of little creatures and flowers, and you'll see them come out. And so it's nice. And even though it was rain, I feel like it was raining more in May, but we didn't see the hydrangeas or the frogs or the snails, so they had to like still have the season come. So yeah. But Yeah, sorry, I went on a tangent again. But so I think I'll stop here for today. It's almost 2 a.m., but it was really good. I really enjoyed talking with everyone, and I had a nice time today on the stream, and I hope you all had a nice time too. And I hope it was a good discussion or talk for others who are watching today. So, yeah, thank you so much for coming today. Yes, froggies. Yes, thank you so much. I hope you have a good night and good day. And thank you so much as well. Thank you, Nava-san. Thank you, Tora. Thank you, everyone. Okay, take care. And yeah, tomorrow's the monthly ceremony. So if you join, I'll see you then. But if not, don't worry. So yeah, thank you, Ineza-san. Okay, have a good day today. Bye bye for now. Arigato. Bye bye. Thank you, Rai.